Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of Dialogue Horizon. Welcome back to see you after the Ramadan, and welcome to our guest today, Professor Manzoor Abdullah Manzoor. He's a professor in the University of Khartoum. He held many posts in the University of Khartoum, but now he's a professor, a full professor. But also he's very active in organizations, international organizations. Also he has his prints on the peace processes in different parts of the globe. So we are very happy to host Professor Manzoor Abdullah Manzoor in this episode, which will be dedicated fully to the present turmoil, the present precarious situation of the country, the political fragile conditions in the country. Everybody is definitely concerned about what's going on. And as I mentioned before in one of the episodes, that I read in one of the stickers in a car saying, if you are not confused, you are misinformed. So you are informed, so you must be confused. Welcome, Professor Manzoor Abdullah Manzoor, to have you in this episode.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be with you again.
Okay, Professor. Now let us start from the beginning by the latest initiative or document, what the political document. This is called, it was generated by some political parties and some civil organization like Sophia Sex, like different parts of the society. In this document, I read something which I want to know your comments on it. They are calling for a dialogue, Sudanese dialogue, which necessarily means they are categorically rejecting the involvement of the international community, which is now on top of the situation. The trio, the United Nations, UNITAMS, the African Union, and IGAD. Now they are currently in the country and involved in negotiations. So first of all, I want to know your comment on, can it be a Sudanese? Can we reach of the country circumvent this without the international community completely, from what you have seen in the different views of the different parties and political institutions? Can it be done Sudanese?
Well, it can't be, for the very simple fact that now we are 7 months after the October 2021 military coup, and our political condition is escalating, which means that the Sudanese dialogue cannot solve the problem. And for this reason, I think what happened in the Friendship Hall is yet another premature step that cannot contribute positively to addressing the political impasse in the country. We have seen these type of congregations and documents that are signed before many times actually. We have seen the one that was signed by the FFC2. We have seen another congregations or other congregations before and after the military coup, and all of them adopted the same kind of discourse that what we need is a Sudanese dialogue. But these types of congregations and documents that are signed, they can't address the problem. And not only that, I don't think the authorities are taking them seriously, for the simple fact that as these documents are signed and as these different political parties are congregating, a process is already underway, which is led by the trio, as you said, the UNITAMS, the IGAD, and the AU. So you cannot have something that is fully backed by the international community, and you cannot have a process that is supported by the UN, African Union, and IGAD, and yet you have, some sort of distractions, saying to the contrary. that we don't need anyone else. So for me, this is just a distraction. It's a waste of time and resources, and I don't think anyone is going to take it seriously, including the government itself.
Okay. Yeah, that's very informative. Yes, that's what you already, as you said, you already started the process. Which these people, the trio, are right in the middle of this
Absolutely.
process. So, so what this seems, it's a distraction. I agree with you. Fully
Yeah,
agree with
yeah.
you. Okay, now, Professor. Okay, having said that, this is a distraction. The problem is very complex now, becoming. The more we stay, the more we wait, the more complex the situation will be. So, as from your following and from your readings and from your participation in some of the initiatives, other initiatives, also they were in the. All this reveals the fact that it is almost extremely difficult to have a consensus. Different groups. Now, I myself, I say there are now two blocks, A and B. Block A is the block which calls for a new Sudan. New Sudan in everything new. This is led by the youth, the resistance committees, by some, you all youth, actually youth, the ladies and boys in the country, not in Khartoum only. They are with this new Sudan slogan. Others are adamantly rejecting something new, anything new. They just want to go. This may be the, of course, the military, maybe the armed struggle forces, maybe the sectarian parties, like Ummah Party, like National Democratic Party. Anyhow, some of the old guard, let us call it the old guard.
Sure.
So if it comes to a stalemate, or it cannot, as you know, it cannot continue like this.
Yeah.
Do you think early elections will be a solution? If they call for early elections?
Well, first of all, your characterization is actually correct. We have, we can think of two major camps.
Yes.
And of course, there are a lot of things that are in between. But the movers and shakers are within these two camps.
Yes.
A, which is a group that categorically rejects anything. It doesn't accept negotiations, it doesn't accept engagement, it doesn't accept anything. The other category is supporting the status quo.
Yes.
And I would actually agree with your calling them as the old guard.
The old
they are
guard,
trying
yes.
to safeguard the old
Yes.
Sudanese state that has failed for the past 66 years.
Yeah.
So there is no way that we can preserve the old Sudanese state and think that we will be able to address the crisis we are in. This will not happen. Yet at the same time, we cannot adopt the slogan of no to everything,
Yeah.
because transitional periods are all but about compromises. You cannot get all you asked for.
All you want, yes.
So at the end of the day, there should be some sort of engagement, there should be some sort of negotiations. And my position has always been that even those who reject everything, they can do that on the table. Come around the table and put your conditions, but not say, I will not sit on the table. Because today, if the de facto government says that I'm leaving power, someone has to step in and take over.
Yes.
How can that happen if there is no negotiations?
Sure. Yeah.
There should be some sort of negotiations. Now, on the question of whether an early election could be a solution or not, it could be a solution on one condition, that this early election should only be about the sovereign council or the head of state, not parliamentary elections.
Okay.
The first step, and I have said this in one of the episodes here, that to me the first step should be electing either head of the state or a sovereign council composed of a maximum of 3 or 5 members. When that happens, the sovereign council will appoint a prime minister who is not belonging to any political party, and the Prime Minister
You
has
mean the sovereign council to be elected?
elected directly from the people in the country, because this type of election doesn't need a lot of
Preparation
things.
and
No, it's a direct thing.
Direct.
And when this happens, then it bestows a lot of powers on the Sovereign Council.
Okay.
Okay? Then a Prime Minister will come and they decide about a period for the transition so that they will prepare for the ground for elections. And here again, I think we need to rethink the old parliamentary kind of system we have been adopting. I don't think it's a good idea to take it for granted that this is the thing we should adopt. We have to rethink the whole thing, and in the process also we have to level the ground, so that at the end of the day, when we have elections, they are fair and transparent, and they cannot be rigged, as has been the case all the time.
Yeah.
So the talk about elections should be qualified, because if we rush for elections the way we used to do before, we are just going to defer,
To repeat the vicious circle.
Absolutely. So we need to qualify the talk about elections. But until that happens, I think we urgently need some sort of engagement. Now, what the trio is doing, I'm supportive of it, although I have a lot of reservations against the EU and the IGAD. But this is what we have, and this is what the international community supports. So there is a need for all the parties to engage, so that we at least create some hope. Because as we said at the beginning of the episode, we are in a very serious political crisis. And the longer it is allowed to continue, the more complicated it gets.
It will be.
Especially that the economy is really doing bad.
Yeah. And it will worsen.
Absolutely. So the talk about election need to be qualified. It is actually one of the options, but it cannot be done the way
it used to be. US.
Absolutely.
Yes. So this is very interesting, Professor.
Yeah.
Very interesting, because I myself believe in this kind of change. People should think out of the box. This is a good step towards completely changing the parliamentary system to presidential system. So as if this could be one of the solutions. That is why. Okay, let's start by appointing or electing.
Exactly.
By the whole country, also these people, either one person or three persons
or five.
But anyhow, there should be somebody number one. He's the president.
Exactly.
This is elected. Then this is a good.
This is a good step, and it will dissipate a lot of tensions. Yes. Because now, and again, I have to repeat myself, the problem is now in the Sovereign Council itself.
Yes, sure.
It's not thinkable to have a 15 or 14 member of a Sovereign Council in a country like Sudan. No. This is nonsense.
This is absurd. Yes, this is definitely. You are right. But this is very good. This is a very good if they accept it. But you said you have some reservations. You're talking about the three no's. No.
Yeah, absolutely. Because to me, this is not realistic. It's not realistic.
Not realistic.
Of course, we respect the position of everyone who everyone has the right to adopt the position they like. But to me, this is not practical, and it's not realistic. You have to engage at some point.
Yeah, at some point you have to engage, because otherwise you cannot come to any solution.
Absolutely.
And also you say about my question about the early election, it cannot be a solution unless it is something new, not the traditional way. If they go early election for parliamentary system,
we repeat the same.
Actually, this needs a lot of money and time.
And census.
At least has to be preceded by national census. They have people to can distribute the constituency.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it needs time, money, a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah, to really level the ground for a credible election.
Yes.
I think you need between 18 to 24 months.
Yes, not less than that.
You have to have a law. You have to have a census, and you have to revise the voter registration.
Commission to make to
election commission, election law, the registry itself. Okay. It needs to be revised, and before that you need a census.
And money costs money,
and this costs us a lot, And at the time, you know, we want to do this,
Yes, at the time.
you know.
And the outcome, what will be the outcome? Because our people are different, the voters are different, everybody thinks the whole thing is different than it used to be 5, 10 years ago.
No, yeah,
So,
that is true. That's
but
true.
what your suggestion, I fully agree. I fully agree. I wrote about this. If you go for early election for one post,
Yeah.
to be elected by the whole society, this gives a good chance for the youth and those the proponents of the change. They want the change. They can group and consolidate themselves in a big core. Definitely, they can win.
Absolutely.
They can win.
That is
They
true.
can win
That is
because now
true.
they
That's true, because if you solve the problem at that level, then you create a legitimate leadership
Yes, yes.
that is delegated by the Sudanese people
Yeah.
to go around and do the other things that are needed during the transition.
Very
You know?
interesting. Yes. Yes.
And I really don't understand why this idea is not taken seriously. Because the whole challenge and the whole problem now is at the level of the Sovereign Council.
Yes, yes.
Because we don't have a cabinet anyway.
Yeah, yes. Definitely, it is a good way out.
It's a good way out. There is no question about that, and people should need to think about it. And also, I agree with you. I think we need to think outside the box, you know, including everybody, you know.
Yes. Old people, the old guard cannot continue.
No.
Because
No. You cannot fail for 66 years and think that you will succeed,
You succeed.
using the same logic.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Definitely.
It's not going to happen.
Okay, Professor. Now you said about something very new and very interesting. I think the viewers, some of the viewers, they might entertain this idea. I wrote articles about something like this. This is very interesting, and it could be a very fair and acceptable way out of the dilemma.
Yeah.
After the election of the president, all people, definitely the army will automatically go back to barracks. The civilians, they will go to their parties to organize themselves, prepare themselves for the parliamentary.
Absolutely. And this person or this council that's elected is the commander-in-chief
Yes.
of the armed forces.
Yes, commander in
You know?
chief of the army. So things will be straightened, definitely.
Absolutely. It could be anybody بالمناسبة. يعني by the way, even Al-Burhan himself, if he is elected, why not?
Why not?
There's no problem in this at all.
Yes, no problem.
The thing is, you have to have a legitimate leadership.
Elected by the people. That's
it.
Okay. Having said this about this is a very interesting idea. So we go directly to the trio, the international community. Maybe you have some connection. First of all, I want to ask about the performance of the trio. This UNITAMS, especially UNITAMS, and its leader, which is under fire from different parties. UNITAMS, IGAD, and African Union. Now they are very active and involved, but it seems that they cannot go to a breakthrough. They failed till now. How can you evaluate this?
Well, let us just start with UNITAM's first round of consultations that took place 2 months ago, when they organized a wide range consultations with different actors in the country, and they came out with that report we heard about. They were just mapping the different positions, and then when they wanted to have a press conference to present that report and to announce the second step, the African Union protested, and they said that they were not included in the process. This led to the fact that the UNITAMS had to postpone its press conference. They had to engage with the African Union. They had to put their act together, and then now we see them together, UNITAMS, African Union, and the IGAD. Now, this position actually is predicated on the African Union's slogan that, there should be African solutions to African problems. I am one of those who don't believe in this stupid slogan. I'm sorry to say this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it doesn't make any sense.
African,
you know?
African to African, no. Huh?
I can actually use the whole episode to talk about why I'm against this, but that's besides the point. The point is now we have AU, we have IGAD, we have UNITAMs that are working together to facilitate the process in the country. Unfortunately, there seem still to be problems within the trio itself. I don't think there is a complete harmony between UNITAMs and the African Union when it comes to addressing the Sudan impasse. There are differences of opinion. And I think there are already leaks in the media that this AU representative, Mohammed Hassan al-Lubat, had some statements that irritated a lot of actors in the scene. Some people are now starting to question his credibility, his neutrality, and I think the Darfur Bar Association is already saying that they will ask the African Union to replace him. To replace what Lubat.
Yeah.
So I feel the trio is not as harmonious as it appears to be in the media. There are a lot of problems that are unsolved, and this will definitely affect the whole process. It might lead to, and it's already led to a delay, because the process was supposed to start on the 10th of May. It didn't start. Yesterday we saw that there were some consultations. FFC1, they presented a written position to the trio, asking for certain things that are necessary before they can be part of the process. There are others also who met with the trio. The trio, as I said, it's a chance. It's supported by the international community. It has a lot of problems. Unfortunately, this is what we have at the moment. We have to deal with it. Now, let us not forget the fact that, putting aside the problems within the trio itself, there are elements within the country that are against the process.
Against the process?
Of course, we have seen these groups that signed the document in Friendship Hall, the one that we spoke about. Yeah. And I called it, this is just a distraction. Because they say that they want a Sudanese thing. And then I also listened to the Tamazuj group leader, who is rejecting any international intervention, And there are a lot of noises, and we have all seen the protests organized by the supporters of the former regime against UNITAMs.
Yes.
They stage other demonstrations. They are asking that this mission should be expelled. And even the chairman of the Sovereign Council, I think at one point said that these people are way beyond their mandate. So you have this kind of a very strange situation that is facing the trio over and above the problems they have among themselves. I'm painting a bit of a gloomy scenario, but this is what's happening.
I heard the attacks on the UNITAMs and what will be the just in case, what will be the reaction of the international community, especially the United Nations, if the Volker is expelled, for example?
Well, he will not be expelled. This is my reading. I might be proven wrong, but I don't think it will be. It will go as far as no. It won't go that far because we are already started to get isolated again. Unfortunately, things stop. The financial institutions are not dealing with us. Even the banking system.
Not yet full.
No.
Stop this.
Yeah, transfers from abroad are becoming very difficult or impossible to get to the country. So we are back again into the thing that we got out of, And the longer this situation continues, the more complex it will become. So the very fact that we have this chance, we have the trio trying to do something, I think we need to make use of this.
You think this is the only way to be back in the international community?
Of course.
Because what their findings will definitely be endorsed and accepted by the international community. But if you make a dialogue, Sudanese dialogue, international community...
We have seen the dialogue that was organized by the former regime.
Yes.
It took them 2 or almost 3 years. And the end result was a big fat zero, So to me, those who are calling for a Sudanese dialogue are not serious.
You are not serious.
They are trying to preserve the status quo. They are trying to preserve the old, sort of political system that has failed the country for 6 decades, and they are not serious. Simply, and looked from this perspective, I give credit to those who say no, because they could see that this is where we are being led, to waste time, to come out with these very silly sort of suggestions, and buying time and all these tactics that we are used to.
Delaying tactics.
Absolutely, delaying tactics. And the problem is that the situation doesn't allow this.
Yeah.
We are in a very dire economic situation. We are in a very serious political crisis. We have mounting tensions in the east. We have problems in Darfur. And one of the things that really worry me is that the de facto government is behaving as if it has all the time.
Yeah.
They are not reacting to this crisis, to this multiple crisis, in the way that they should. And I fail to understand why this is the case, Now you have an international community that's supporting a certain process. If you want to get the support from the international community, you have to support and honor this process. You have to engage. Instead of doing the opposite.
So it's the only way. The only way to get back to reconcile with the community. Okay, let me ask you about very important. Maybe it could be one of the reasons. One of the reasons about the Juba Agreement itself. Okay, let's not talk about Juba Agreement itself, but about the annexed tracts. Can you tell us about the tracts?
Well,
because tract gave rise to the tension of the East.
Yeah. The thing is, this Juba Peace Agreement, the more time passes, the more complex it becomes. And to me, it's a conundrum. I was among those who supported the Juba Peace Agreement. I have to admit this. I've said this here many times, that there are some provisions that are quite good if implemented. Of course, we all agree that the issue of track is a serious mistake that was done. Because
no need for that.
No, it complicated the Eastern case and other areas also. Now the problem is, as bad as it is, it's not being implemented.
Till now.
Until now, the key things like security arrangements. We just started to see that some soldiers from the armed groups were integrated into the Sudanese armed forces, and some officers were also. This should have happened like a year ago, And you cannot allow the situation until it escalates, and then you try to do something about it. So the Juba Agreement is getting complicated because of the complication in the political conditions in the country.
And in itself is complicating.
Exactly.
The whole situation.
So you have like a spiral effect. You have political crisis, in which the Juba Peace Agreement signatories are part, because they're also actors in the political crisis in the country, because they openly supported the what happened in October 25th last year, and they are part of it. They are part of the government. You see?
Yeah. So that's why they say, if some of them, without naming them, but some of them, this might also complicate things, or complicate the coming to a solution, that they talk about any consensus or agreement between any people which deprives us or takes us away from what we gained, we will going to go back to fighting.
Well, they can't. This is just a political rhetoric, because nobody with a modicum of sanity would go again to war. I don't think they will find supporters. So this is, to me, as lead from my own readings, there is no chance.
No chance.
No, this is just a political rhetoric. Of course, they have to preserve the the kind of privileges they have, you know, and that's why they talk like this. But practically, if the different political actors and interlocutors came to a consensus or a conclusion that something has got to be done about the UPP peace agreement, it will have to be done, you know.
Because all initiatives, most of them, this initiative, they call for a non-partisan government.
Absolutely. And now, just to give you an example, you have the problem in the East. They are adamantly against the Eastern Track. What are you going to do about this?
Yes.
You cannot implement it.
They cannot, yes, they are rejecting it.
Absolutely. Which means something needs to be done about it, you know. And this something that needs to be done can only be done through opening the agreement or doing something about it. So looking at the agreement as a Quran or as a Bible,
sacred.
No, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense.
It has to be touched.
Something has got to be done about it.
Maybe not the backbone is still less, but
Some issues, yeah.
The tracks.
Yeah, the tracks, for example. Something has got to be done
For
about
the East also, the East are not accepting the track, and they are saying that the representatives who signed the track of the East is not representing them.
Precisely.
So this will be very serious.
No, precisely. And now one of the paradoxes is that the trio on the international community talk about the necessity of implementing the UPP peace agreement.
Implementing?
Of course.
As it is?
Of course. That is also one of the things. In all the statements from the international community, there is a mention about UPP peace agreement. That part of the package is to implement the peace agreement.
It's very, very bad. I think
Well, you must have been following the reaction of the Troika, yes, when the blockage happened. They condemned the blocking of the East. If you remember, there was a statement, which means that they see that this is going to affect the transition, this is going to affect the implementation of the peace agreement, and so forth. So you have a lot of complications.
A lot of complications.
But again, my bottom line, as I always kept saying, is that it starts with the things that are implementable, it starts with the things that are important, it starts with the things that are urgent, like security arrangements, you know, other things that could be done. And then eventually you will come to those contentious issues and you can do something about them.
This is as our friend Professor Shibli, you know, he said, let us start by picking the low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. Before you can climb up.
Pick the low-hanging.
Exactly. So precisely. I think I like this, you know.
But this is the low-hanging, this is Professor Shibli. He always says, let us start by picking the low-hanging
absolutely.
fruit. Now the low-hanging, I think, is the presidential election.
Yeah.
This is low-hanging.
That's right.
Okay. This is very, very interesting. Okay, Professor, let us talk about the effect, the damage actually which happened to the country since 25th October till now. Now we don't have a government for almost 6.5 or more,
7 months.
Or almost 7 months. How can you evaluate this 7 months?
Well, it's very unfortunate. I have to be very frank. This is a very bad situation.
It never happened in Sudan.
And it never happened in the country. The leader of the Sovereign Council acknowledged during his speech that they failed. His deputy acknowledged that they failed in many occasions. He talked about the situation as not good. And yet they don't seem to be very keen about finding a way out of this. Now the serious part of all this is that we are again into international isolation. Precisely at a time when we are in a dire need for the international community. You know, and now I think we are only left with 1 month or something, and the decision would be made about our debt relief, whether it will happen or whether it will not. Now, regrettably, I read somewhere that the funds that were earmarked for Sudan, because of the coup, the international institutions blocked that, and now those funds were already reallocated to other countries.
Reallocated?
No way.
No way to get them back
No,
to
forget it. Around $2 billion US dollars have already been allocated to other countries. So even if we got our act together and we have a civilian government, it will take us months to start to renegotiate and get something. And we have to be very honest and humble to admit that our economy needs international support.
without
It cannot revitalize itself. There is no way. We have a very serious crisis. We need a direct injection into our financial system so that the economy can pick up a bit, before we could stand on our own.
life-saving injection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no chance for us to stand without support from the international community. This will not happen.
So we cannot do without the international
No,
community.
no way, no way, no way. I don't see any way actually. Now you can see what happened, in the prices of fuel and the prices of electricity.
Yes.
You see,
Going skyrocketing. People
Skyrocketing.
cannot afford.
Cannot afford.
So what will be the effect now? Is it true that by June, mid-June, officially the mandate of UNITAMS ends on June, and they have to renew it?
I think so. I think so. I think it will be renewed.
It will be renewed.
There's no. I have no doubt whatsoever.
I think it will be
It will be renewed because this is the only viable framework for the time being.
And what about the voices calling for?
No, these are just.
Special
I don't think anybody will listen.
distraction
No,
also.
nobody would listen to them. Neither the government nor anyone else.
And it's not good, even not good to Sudan to go all the way without the.
No. Sudan is a member of the UN, and this presence is legitimate.
Let's give me.
Of course. So and let's not forget the fact that the mission was approved by the Sovereign Council. The UNITAM's mission was approved by the same people who are still in power.
So they cannot.
No chance. I think this is just political rhetoric, but I'm almost certain that the mission would be extended, the mandate will be renewed, because the mission is now in the middle of a process, and this process is going to take time. Now they started with this second round of talking separately or indirectly with the different actors, and then at a certain point they will bring these actors together. I think this will happen. Despite the boycott and all of this, at the end of the day, something will emerge.
By
The trio will do something. I'm not sure whether it will take stock of the failures of the previous deal, or it will be something different. But at the end of the day, something has got to happen, because this situation cannot be allowed to continue like this.
So no way do you think that this trio, especially the UNITAMS, which is United Nations, UNITAMS, as if you are saying that they will not come to the point of saying we abort now this whole thing and we cannot continue because of lack of cooperation or
No. This is not in the literature of the UN system.
They have to do something.
They will be engaging. They will be there all the time, until they get however it takes. It may take months, years. They will continue to be engaged, because we have seen this in different countries. We have seen this in Libya, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all of that. So the UN would be there. The African Union and IGAD would be there, even if they are not really as effective as they should be. I have my own personal reservations against their interventions, because we have seen how they reacted to the crisis in Ethiopia, the Tigray war.
Okay.
Their position was hopeless. So, but still, these are regional organizations, and even the UN system acknowledges their part, acknowledges their role, and support them. So they will be part of any process.
But okay, Professor, is it possible that the role of the trio, but can the existing power or any power can they ask for replacing persons without stopping the operation? For example, let us say if they decide to, okay, we accept the trio, but please change the three. Bring three.
Well, that is. I don't think.
Is it
I don't think
possible?
there is a problem there, because eventually, maybe even the UN or the IGAT or the AU
Did we have the right?
will decide at a certain point to change these people. This
They
is
might,
not.
they might change.
They might change them by themselves, not even before any actor in the Sudan asks for that. This happens all the time.
Because by remote sensing, they feel that.
Probably that is going to be the case, but to me, the framework will still be there.
The framework important to be there.
Absolutely. UNITAMS will be there, AU will be there, IGAT will be there. Even if persons change.
But still, there will be in the arena.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a problem.
Absolutely. As long as our political crisis continues, these actors will be there. There's no chance that they will do away with them.
On what conditions can the United Nations go to Chapter 7? Many people, they ask me. I say Chapter 7 is very extremely difficult to put Sudan, the whole Sudan, in Chapter 7.
No, it's not easy. It's not easy. I don't think it
and
will.
a lot of vetoes.
It will not happen. It will not happen. It will not
At
go.
all. I
It will not
think
go
so.
to Chapter 7. And one of the things that actually gives us hope, maybe this is my own personal understanding, is that Sudan is a very resilient country. You cannot actually compare it to a lot of the countries in the neighborhood or in the region. You cannot compare it to Libya or Yemen or Iraq or Syria. This is a very resilient country. It has a very strong social system that represents checks and balances against the mistakes of its leaders. So at a certain point, some sort of a compromise will take place. And I see that this is going to be the case this time also.
So no way.
It cannot, be as bad as the crash of the sit-in. If the Sudanese interlocutors can get together and arrive at a deal after the crash of the sit-in, I think they can also do something again. So something is going to happen, is going to take place. Whether it's going to take us to a smooth transition or not, that's another question. But eventually, some sort of a deal will be arrived at.
And because many people, they ask how, they say, just I told them, Chapter 7 going to it's very very sticky and very muddy the way to reach. Even in Darfur, after many years, after the killing, the systematic killing of people in Darfur, the burning of villages, and after all this, Chapter 7 to Darfur only was imposed, adopted, and two countries, they abstained, China and Russia.
Yeah.
So now the situation, you have to convince that Sudan is that I'm telling the viewers, those who are asking, as if somebody in the media also they go okay, Chapter 7, Chapter.
No, it will not happen. It's not that easy.
It's not that easy.
It's very complicated, and I don't think we reached that point.
Not yet.
Where Chapter 7 would be,
These guys can be played.
thought about. No.
Because Chapter 7 is the title of.
Because that's the last thing the UN could go for.
The charter, the last thing is the charter. Yes,
Precisely.
the last
Precisely. So for me, yes, we have a political crisis or a political impasse, but it's not as serious as it goes.
Not
for
threatening
Chapter
the
7.
peace.
Money from abroad, you cannot receive through the official banking system, because all the correspondent banks are boycotting Sudan. Not only banks in the West, even banks in the Middle East. They are not allowing transfer to come to the country. What do you understand by this? You are a pariah state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again. Outcast, yeah.
So, and the problem is that these things are incremental, their effect is incremental, and the longer you keep them continuing, the more complex the situation becomes, to the point where you have a complete economic collapse. And this is my main concern. I'm actually more concerned about the economic crisis than the political one.
So this is very serious. So what you are saying is very serious, that economic collapse could happen because of the refraining the Gulf. We don't have to expect from the Gulf area under this
No,
prevailing conditions.
no.
And already the international community closed all channels so although it started beautifully,
Yes.
it started doing the economy started to flourish, and even these institutions, they were proud of the speedy process of going, but all of a sudden aborted by
collapsed.
the collapse.
Yeah,
So this needs time, and now you are a little bit worried about
No, I am.
economic collapse.
I am.
which
I am.
we-
You know, I am one of those who always look at the half full cup. Unfortunately, now I start to look at the half empty.
Empty. This is very bad. It's very serious to me, because I know you. It is very serious when you
Yeah.
started looking, because you are following everything. Okay.
Yeah, but still, we are hopeful, and again, I think we should really do our lot to make sure that the trio succeeds in doing something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Manzoor Abdullah Manzoor, for being with us in this last hour. Thank you, dear viewers, for being with us in the last 50 minutes or so. We hope to see you next week in a different topic, hoping that things move a little bit to optimistic solutions. Thank you. Bye.